Alright, hello, welcome back to Unqualified Analysis. Today, I have to get my Gatorade from back here. Forgot to get that real quick. Saves me a little bit of time when I have to gulp that down later. Alright, so, today, second episode of the week. I'm recording a little bit late because some bullshit with the red folks. Absolute bullshit, but we're figuring it out. Either way, though, today we have got the Week 1 preview in the NFL. Oh, by the way, I'm the host, Caleb. You can follow me on the Twitters over at CalebVUA. I'm pointing at the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, though it's my left, but I'm a pro, so I'm pointing to the bottom right-hand corner of the screen there, because that's where the old ad is. You can also find it in the description there, but yeah, just go ahead, give me a follow, give the show a follow, give us a subscribe, easy for me to say, give us a rate. I mean, share it with a friend. I mean, let's grow this thing, shall we? Let's grow this thing. Anywho's, yeah, Week 1 preview. Pretty much going to be doing it the same way I did last year. I mean, since I don't have any NFL games to cover right now, as far as recaps are concerned, I'll probably take the preview a little bit slower this time around. But yeah, it'll just be kind of what we did, last year. We're gonna go through the lines. We're gonna, see if there's any value there, see if there's any picks to add. I believe I do have 2 or 3 more picks. I can't remember exactly how many it is. But yeah, I got a couple more picks to add, and we'll see. Maybe we add another one in here too. I mean, it's right at my limit for this early on in the season. I'm not sure there's enough games to really get a good feel on right now. I'm very tempted by one, that's for sure. But without further ado, that's enough of a tease. Let's get into this thing. So, starting off Week 1 in Thursday Night Football. Thursday Night Football. It is this Thursday night. It is today as you are listening to this. 8:20 p.m. The Ravens, as is tradition, visit the Super Bowl champion Chiefs for the ring ceremony. And we got a dandy of a matchup here, folks. I mean, hopefully it lives up to what the Chiefs and Lions were last season to start things off. But this is a pretty even matchup here. I mean, Lions at Chiefs -3. So basically, home field advantage is about the only separator there. It's, right dead even as far as the teams are concerned, as far as Vegas is concerned. And it's threes all the way across the board. The books are in lockstep on this one. It looks like Fanatic Sportsbook, it doesn't have a line, in Hard Rock, Ohio. I guess that's really only if you're in Ohio, doesn't have a line on this one yet, but every reputable sports book does. So yeah, I mean, it's all threes across the board, so take your pick on which one you want there. Over-under's 46.5. You can really only find that at Caesars right now, and if it's still up there when this comes out, I would recommend you go get that right away if you are interested in that over, because it is literally the only one that is at 46.5. Everywhere else is 47 or 47.5. So yeah, scoop that up. If you're looking for the under, 47.5 is over at ESPN Bet and FanDuel. So go ahead, find the value where you can. Money line is plus 130 on the Ravens, minus 150 on the Chiefs. Not a bad straight up bet either way. If you're on any one of these teams just to win, you don't want to mess with the spread. I mean, minus 150 is not a terrible premium to pay. I mean, it's not something I would probably take. Not great value on the bet, but I mean, it could be a whole lot worse than a money line bet. So if you really feel strongly about the Chiefs in opening night, minus 150 right there for you. And, maybe if you're feeling a little bit riskier, you go with the road team on that one. Plus 130, that'll get you. So, and by the way, bet responsibly. Bet the beer money, not the rent money. I mean, we're all aware of the strategy here, so we'll just keep it moving from there. As far as this matchup goes, I mean, you're hoping it's a duel of great QB play, right? I mean, obviously you got Patrick Mahomes, who's the best in the league, and you got Lamar Jackson, who is, I mean, coming off an MVP season, so that's got to count for something, right? Also, in Todd Monken's offense, totally opened up the passing game for him. It's amazing what happens when you don't have Greg Roman drawing up passing plays for you, but I digress on that front. So it's going to be a matchup of two high-flying quarterbacks for sure. Ravens receiving core kind of took a hit this offseason. We'll see how that works out against this Chiefs secondary, but the Chiefs secondary is undoubtedly a little bit weakened with the departure of L'Jarius Sneed this offseason. So it kind of balances out there. You still have Lamar Jackson. We'll see how much they run him. I feel like that should be an integral part of the offense when you have Lamar Jackson, and we'll see how that affects the running game. But hey, whenever he got into the system last year with Todd Monken, it was high flying, and I expect a lot of the same stuff here in week one. Chiefs wise, on the defensive side of the ball, kind of alluded to it there, but you lose L'Jarius Sneed this offseason. You still have Trent McDuffie, but he's best used as a slot corner. You're going to be relying on some unproven guys on the outside, so it'll be interesting there on the back end. I mean, safety play going to have to step up this year, but when you got a guy like Chris Jones in the front, you got solid linebacking core. You lose Willie Gay this offseason, but Drew Tranquill played him out of the lineup pretty much, and you still got Nick Bolton there, so good pieces to work with. George Karlaftis, really good front seven. If they can stop wrong team I'm thinking of. If they can stop the running game for the Ravens and kind of just solely focus on the passing game, just by the strength of what they have on the front seven, it's definitely possible that they can slow down this Ravens offense to a degree where maybe you're looking at an under proposition here, and that's pretty much. Like the way I see it, that's pretty much the path to victory for them in this one. Obviously, the Chiefs can outscore anyone with the quarterback that they have, but you think about the advantage that the Chiefs have on the defensive line versus the Ravens' offensive line. That's a matchup that they really have to win if they want to end up pulling away or really winning this game overall. Again, you can win just by the sheer brilliance of Patrick Mahomes and the offense over there. But if you want to win like a sound team football game, winning that offensive defensive line matchup is the key for the Chiefs in this one, and it's going to be one that I'm going to be watching the whole game pretty much. I think it should become fairly obvious who is winning that matchup based on how the run game goes and how the pass protection goes, more than anything else for the Ravens. But on the other side, I mean, the Chiefs offense versus the Ravens defense. Ravens lost, obviously, Mike McDonald this last offseason. They hired Zach Orr, one of the youngest, if not the youngest. Well, no, I think the Rams might have hired like a 29-year-old or something like that. Crazy, only a year older than me. But, you hire Zach Orr, only like 32, 34 years old, something like that, young guy. I'm very inclined to just kind of blindly trust the John Harbaugh hires when it comes to defensive coordinator, because he pretty much seems to hit it out of the park every time. So I assume there won't be much of a drop off there in the coordination. They do lose Geno Stone, but it was a deep defensive backfield. They already had Marcus Williams, and that's before Kyle Hamilton. Prove to everyone that he is maybe the best safety in the entire league and an absolute physical freak at like 6'4", can fly around, one of the most instinctive players in the entire NFL. So I don't expect much of a drop-off there. You got a little bit of worry at cornerback. That's kind of an issue there. You draft Nate Wiggins, though, and he played well in the preseason, so you hope that trend continues into the regular season. Outside of that, though, I mean, defensive line looks good. You signed Justin Madubuike to a big-time deal this offseason. You still have Roquan Smith. You're going to have some guys step up outside of that because you lose Patrick Queen. But still enough bones there to make some noise on the front. So I like what they're coming in with. They're still probably a top 10 unit this year with the personnel that they have. And plus, assuming Zach Orr turns out to be all right. For the Chiefs offense, though, I mean, it's better than it was last year. There's really no way around it. I mean, you still got some problems at the tackles right now. But, you have one of the best centers in the league in Creed Humphrey. You got solid interior play. You got a few questions at tackle, but when you have a mobile quarterback like Patrick Mahomes, really all you need is good run blocking to help out Isaiah Pacheco, quite frankly. Obviously, it's not that it doesn't matter. It's just that I just assume Patrick Mahomes is going to play spectacularly, really no matter how the tackles play for the most part in the passing game. Just need him to run the damn ball. I'm interested to see this front seven matchup with the offensive line here between the Ravens and the Chiefs. if Isaiah Pacheco is running the ball well and the Chiefs are able to hold the ball for a while, this is going to be a long game for the Ravens, especially when you got a quarterback like Patrick Mahomes. The longer those drives go, the more anxious you get going into it. And with a better receiving core this year, obviously Hollywood Brown's not out there, but you still have Xavier Worthy, who you drafted. You have Rashee Rice. Overall, better receiving core than you had last year. Oh yeah, Travis Kelce you have there too. How can I forget him? You no longer have Kadarius Toney there, which I say is addition by subtraction. Is Sky Moore still around? I don't know. He's around somewhere, I suppose. But that's enough in place if you have just serviceable offensive line play. And even if you don't, if Patrick Mahomes runs out of the pocket, you know he's going to be hitting Xavier Worthy on a deep shot at some point. You don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen at some point. So I mean, the best hope that the Ravens have is that the secondary, the back end, is just so brilliant that they get a couple turnovers off of Patrick Mahomes. If they can stone the run game a little bit, that front seven plays, good football. The Ravens could ultimately hold the Chiefs to less points than you may expect. As far as the game itself goes, man, this is a tough one. I'm certainly not betting this. It's just too close of a matchup, too close to the teams. I got to take the home team, though, on opening night. The Chiefs, they're the reigning Super Bowl champions. They have the best quarterback of all time, best one in the league, in my opinion, right now. You can switch those around. He's the best of all time, in my opinion. You're going to come over to that opinion one day. It's just a matter of time. And he's the best in the league right now. That's pretty much undebatable. No debate whatsoever there. He's in a tier up here. There's an empty tier below him, then another empty tier below that, and then whoever falls in the tier after. It's not particularly close. Patrick Mahomes is insane. So I'll go with the best quarterback in the league, reigning Super Bowl champions, walking into a great home field atmosphere. Give me the Chiefs -3. Again, not betting that, but if you're putting me in a corner to pick, I'd pick the Chiefs on this one. I'd take the under, though. I take the under. I feel like both these defenses are going to play well in this game, and, opening day cobwebs, you got to shake them off a little bit before you get going. I think for this one, especially in a big-time atmosphere and in a prime-time atmosphere at that, the under at 47.5 over at FanDuel looks favorable in this one. All right, so we'll keep it moving from there. We're on to the this is the Friday night game because they are playing in Brazil, which hilariously enough just banned X, formerly known as Twitter. I still call it Twitter, but to keep the news consistent, they just banned Twitter over in Brazil, and now a bunch of NFL players and NFL reporters are going over there to cover a football game. Get a VPN, I suppose. It's probably your best bet on that one. If you're trying to tweet from Brazil, I don't know how serious they are about this ban. Like, if they see NFL reporters that they know are in Sao Paulo or Rio de Janeiro, wherever this is being played, and are tweeting, are they gonna, slap them with some fines? Are they gonna arrest them? What are they gonna do? I don't know exactly what's going on. Best bet, though, go ahead and get yourself a VPN, get yourself a free trial subscription. Just make sure that you can tweet during the game. That's my advice to you, NFL reporters. As far as the game itself goes, another close line. This one's even closer than the last one. The Packers are a +2.5 dog over at Caesars and FanDuel right now. Also, ESPN Bet is at 2.5. Everywhere else is at 2 right now, it would appear. Another close matchup there. Over under, it's 49 in most places, but you can get a 49.5 over at FanDuel and ESPN Bet if you're looking to bet on the under in this one. And really just in general, night games and especially week 1, I'm inclined to take the under. I'm not really, spoiler alert, I don't have a great feel on this game. We're going to get to who I'm leaning here in a minute, but I don't have a great feel on this game. It's week 1. I like to let these things play out. I'm much more into college football this time of year, having 1 week of data than I am at the NFL side of things. So Yeah. We're just gonna keep it moving right now. I mean, as far as the game itself goes, money line is actually minus 130 for the Eagles and plus 118 for the Packers. So if you're feeling strong about either of those, good options either way. Not a bad straight up bet if you're just not trying to play around with the spread. Okay, so as far as the game itself goes, we'll just go visiting team offense, home team defense once again. So let's look at the Packers offense versus the Eagles defense in this one. Obviously, starting with the Eagles here, pass rush a little bit thinner than it was last year. You do bring in Bryce Huff, but you trade away Hassan Reddick, which maybe not a terrible decision, viewing how things are going over there with the holdout situation, which still stubbornly persistent. That does remind me that I have to read some headlines. Don't y'all let me forget those at the end of this episode. Not that you care. It's football season. But as far as the defensive line goes, you're going to need guys like, the Georgia guys, the Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis. You're going to need those guys to step up. You're going to need another Georgia guy, Nakobe Dean, to step up behind him. You're going to need, everyone kind of stepping up from what they did last year. You don't have Fletcher Cox there anymore. Brandon Graham is still around, I think, for like his 15th, 16th season, crazy run that he's been on for his entire career. And the fact that he's been there for, I was in high school, I believe. If you do the quick math there, just the conservative side, 15 years. I was in middle school when the guy first played in the league. It's crazy how long that he's been just consistently doing this for, but I digress. You're going to need the top line players to play very well because there's not a whole lot of depth behind them. That's the main issue here. Again, another Georgia guy. They really love drafting Georgia players. Nolan Smith, you're going to need him to step up in a big way as a pass rusher this year. That is the bottom line there, is you're going to need a lot of these guys that you've been hoping will turn into something great one day to become good to great this season. That's the main thing. Obviously, you bring in Vic Fangio, so you're hoping for a little bit of a scheme upgrade from whatever the committee did last year between Matt Patricia was in there. What was his name? It was something. Sean Desai. That's the guy who was there. He just kind of got stripped of the play calling duties by Matt Patricia, of all people. So don't necessarily think that was a great situation, but you're hoping for a different outcome here with Vic Fangio in there. Obviously, James Bradbury has a 6 to 8 week injury, so that's not ideal in the secondary. But you bring in the great white hope, Cooper DeJean. Good stuff. Good stuff there. And you also bring in, oh goodness, what was his name? That's going to bother me. Quinion Mitchell. That's who they brought in the first round. So back-to-back corners in the first and second round. We'll see where they put DeJean. Is it nickel? Is it outside? I would assume since you have Darius Slay and he drafted Quinion Mitchell in the first round, you're probably going to put him in the slot. So secondary looks good. We'll see how the safeties look. I'm a little bit worried about that on the back end. That's going to be something that pops up here at some point. Although they did re-sign C.J. Gardner-Johnson, though he's starting to get a little bit banged up, a little bit injured. You got to be worried about that. Overall, if the scheme improves, it should be a good unit. Now, matching up against the Packers offense, they're going to need all those corners, I'll tell you that right now, because the Packers have probably the deepest receiving core in the entire league. You heard me talk about it last week when I previewed the NFC North for this season. They don't have like a crazy number one, top 10 in the league caliber receiver, but I'll be damned if 1 to 5 they don't have like serviceable rotation guys all over the league pretty much. They make pretty much any team is what I'm saying right now, and they are, and it's not just like at rotation level. They have a couple solid guys in, Romeo Dobbs is pretty good. Christian Watson, when he's healthy, is spectacular. It's just a question of whether he stays healthy. Jaden Reed, last year's second round pick, is a guy that's coming along nicely. Really played well last season. And it goes on from there, man. They are a really good receiving core. So they're going to need, the Eagles are going to need that back end to play very, very well. The offensive line, I feel like always the Packers' stalwart is the offensive line. And you bring in a guy like Josh Jacobs. I think they cut A.J. Dillon, I want to say. Maybe he's like the third string running back. I don't know. He's just not very good. But you have Josh Jacobs, though, and you expect him to be, I guess an upgrade over Aaron Jones. I think they paid him more than we paid Aaron Jones. We being the Vikings, that is, paid Aaron Jones. So I guess you expect an upgrade. He's a really good running back. He's never played behind really like great offensive lines. And the Packers are probably the best one he's going to play behind. So I think you can see the vision there. Physical running game that gets the defense playing up a little bit, but also you can't play up because you've got all of these weapons on the outside. I think Matt LaFleur is going to be dicing up teams this year, and honestly, if the protection holds, I think they're going to dice up the Eagles in this game. I mean, especially since like. Look at last season, for instance, for what I'm thinking of here. Vic Fangio walks into the situation with the Miami Dolphins. You assume he's just going to be great out of the gates, and that just wasn't the case. It never really came around last year due to a variety of reasons, some of which are not Vic Fangio's fault, but there was some obvious tension there between the star cornerback, Jalen Ramsey, and Vic Fangio, the play caller. There's just the scheme just didn't seem to work initially, but it is also a scheme that I feel like you have to kind of grow into a little bit. You can't just be hot out of the gates all the time with it. So I think it might be a slow start for the Eagles defensively. I think the Packers kind of like take advantage of them in this one. I think they're going to score pretty well in this one. As far as the other side of the ball, looking at the Eagles offense versus the Packers defense, all of this kind of hinges on whether the Packers hire of new defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley, former Boston College head coach last year, if that hire pays off, I mean, this should be a really, really good defense. I mean, they're talented at all levels. They have about 1 million first-round picks on that unit. They bring in Xavier McKinney this offseason, a star safety to put on the back end. They got Jair Alexander out there. Devondre Campbell's gone, but Quay Walker's a tackling machine. You still got Kenny Clark playing at the height of his powers. He's still very good. You got some high draft picks all around on that front seven. If they have a really good defensive coordinator, if he's better than Joe Barry was, sorry, I forgot his name the other week. If you are better than Joe Barry on the defensive side as far as a play caller goes, this Packers defense should be good this year. They should definitely support the offense a little bit more than they have in years past if they have a little bit of a coordination upgrade there as they're hoping they would. As far as the Eagles matchup with them, obviously, strong offensive line. You're missing Jason Kelce in the middle there, but everything around him is rock solid. Rock solid. I mean, everyone has kind of done their jobs. Everyone else is still in place. It's still one of the best units on the entire NFL. The question always comes in when you lose a Hall of Fame center. You still got Jalen Hurts back there, and now you got Saquon Barkley pushing his ass. But is the tush push still going to work without the presence of a Hall of Fame center in Jason Kelce? I don't know. We're going to find out. My guess is probably yes. Just because, I mean, sure, Jason Kelce made it better, but when you got a quarterback who's strong as an ox below the waist, you got a center basically just pushing the pile. All you got to do is just be an animal. That's what offensive linemen love to do. Don't let them tell you otherwise. They love to just be an absolute animal and maul people. That's the bottom line here. And then you got Saquon Barkley, big ripped quads of his own, pushing behind him. It's not rocket science. It's just physics here. So I assume that's still going to work. I'm interested to see how the traditional running game, like the Saquon Barkley running game, is going to work for this Eagles offense. It's going to tell us a lot about the strength of this Packers front seven, I would say, whether or not they play well against this Eagles offensive line and this running game. And I'm trying to think here. Where do I think the game is going to be won? I mean, it could be won in a variety of different ways. I honestly feel like it depends on your point of view. If you think the Packers are going to win, I think the game is won with the receivers beating their secondary and their defensive line kind of bowing up against the run. Maybe getting a turnover here and there or something like that, which If you're the Eagles, though, I do think it's kind of a little bit of the inverse. Like, obviously, you got the great guys out there. You got, Devontae Smith. You got A.J. Brown out there. You got Dallas Goedert, really solid tight end. It kind of comes down to the question of, does Jalen Hurts play better than he did last year? Does Kellen Moore make the offense better than Brian Johnson did last year? That's the real question that we're going to be asking here, and it's going to tell a lot what they do in the run game in this one. I think they have a little bit of an advantage in the passing game, at least as far as personnel on the outside goes. We'll see. I think Xavier McKinney might cancel that out, quite frankly. But if you're just talking outside matchups, yes, you got Jair Alexander out there, but I think Devontae Smith can beat pretty much anyone else in that secondary who's covering him one-on-one. So I think it all comes down to whether Jalen Hurts can deliver the ball. He was great at it 2 years ago. Can he do it again this year in Kellen Moore's offense? I just don't know. And for that reason, I'm taking the Packers in this one. Again, not betting it. I don't feel great about either side in this one. But plus 2.5, giving the Packers in this one. If you're making me pick, I pick them to win. I pick them to cover. I just think they're better offense. And ultimately, I feel like, I'm not going to say they're a better defense, but they're good enough to kind of slow down the Eagles' offense in a way that allows the Packers to win. That's my expert analysis there. What are we doing on time right now? Goodness, already 27 minutes, and we're through 2 games. So let's kind of breeze through some of these here real quickly. So we got the Steelers at the Falcons. Ladies and gentlemen, okay, we're going to call it off here. I thought about doing the overplay. But you know what? I want to see this Falcons defense. They picked up some good pieces over the last couple of weeks. So I'm just gonna withhold judgment for now. Okay, just gonna withhold a little bit of judgment on that over until I see something from the Falcons here. So line on this, it's pretty good mixture of 3.5. It's 3.5 over at DraftKings, ESPN, and FanDuel. If you're looking to bet on the Steelers in this one, it's 3 over at pretty much everywhere else. MGM, Caesars, Bet365, which still looks like the Subway logo, and that's pretty much what you're looking at there. Pretty even split between 3.5s and 3s, as far as the numbers here go. So as far as the over/under goes, pretty good spread. It says right here it's Caesars at 41. That's probably the lowest if you're looking for the over. As far as the under goes, if you're looking to bet that, wouldn't blame me on this one. Steelers, good defense. Bengals, maybe their defense plays all right too. We'll see how it goes. But it's 42.5 over at FanDuel, and they have the largest one over there at 42.5. They have the biggest by almost a point, actually. It's a pretty good spread. Shop around if you like to find something between those two, but those are the two best odds for whatever you're looking for, or at least best numbers for whatever you're looking for there. Money line, not totally out of the question if you just want to pussy out and go ahead and bet the Falcons straight up there, minus 160. I probably wouldn't do it. It's not great value on that bet. Steelers, plus 156. If you feel good about the Arthur Smith return to Atlanta, the revenge factor there might be worth a sprinkle. I'm not doing that. As far as this matchup goes, it's a big-time measuring stick for the Falcons' defense. It's a big-time measuring stick for the Steelers' running game, because I think that is going to be primarily what they are trying to do. I feel like the Steelers might bully this front seven with that running game. Who the hell knows what you're going to get from Russell Wilson? Maybe Justin Fields plays in this game too. Who's to even say? Just who the hell knows? They have one receiver. They have a good tight end, I suppose. Good duo running backs. There's just not really, it's a lot of meat and potatoes in this offense. Now, if they coordinate the run game well, which Arthur Smith has a habit of doing, can still be productive. It's just got a pretty low ceiling at the end of the day. Like I said, you got one receiver, one of them. We'll see if some of the young guys come along, but right now that's the way I look at it. Falcons got a lot of receivers, and they got a really good quarterback in Kirk Cousins. Solid offensive line, star young running back. This offense is legit. No two ways about it. The Falcons' offense is legit, and they're going to score a hell of a lot of points this year. I don't know if they're going to do it on the Steelers, but they have the matchup advantage to do it, I would say. I mean, Joey Porter Jr., Minkah Fitzpatrick, they're studs. What are you looking at outside of those two on the secondary, though? Because it seems a little bit thin still. Seems like a little bit of a work in progress there for Omar Khan in the front office. So I feel like the Falcons have the advantage. Now, the question is, does the Falcons' offensive line hold up? Do they keep that ferocious Steelers defensive line from breaking through and getting Kirk Cousins? You know you got a statue back there pretty much. You're not expecting a whole lot of mobility from Kirk O'Chains back there. But you're so that just lost my train of thought for a second. So that kind of lends itself to, okay, this is an offensive-defensive line matchup, no matter which way you slice it. Is it in the running game? Is it in the passing game? Either way, the Falcons' offensive line is going to have to win if the Falcons want to win. I think if that's where the game is won in this one pretty definitively, because I think the Falcons have the advantage on the outside. And if, on the offensive line, if they win it, they win the game. With that said, I think it may have been the worst analysis I've ever had on this show, but we're going to keep it moving from there. I'll go with the Falcons. I'll go with the Falcons -3. Again, not betting that. Won't bet the over/under. Won't bet the spread there. I'm just, give me the Falcons -3. I guess I just like them better as an offense, and defense is good enough to get you by when you got Russell Wilson facing you. Okay, next game we have got the Jaguars-Falcons. It's 3.5 spread in most places. You're going to get a 3 over at FanDuel. Dolphins favored in this game by 3 points over at Caesars. Over-unders at pretty good mix. It's anywhere from 49.5 if you're looking for the under. That is over at Caesars, and Caesars exclusively, looks like. And you can get a 48.5 at a couple different places. I got FanDuel here. I got ESPN Bet. And I believe those are the only two, at least the only two that I'm seeing on this feed here right now. I'm sure there are more sports books I'm not looking at. But yeah, that's pretty much the spread. Pretty good, like 1 point, anywhere from 48.5 to 49.5. I kind of want this over. I kind of do. I'm not going to bet it. I just don't feel good about it. I can't in good conscience go ahead and do that. So I won't be betting on that. Won't be betting on the game in general. Though, I mean, I won't bet on this one. I'm conflicted. This might be a last-second ad. We'll see where everything goes right now, but I'm in a fucking blender right now. As far as the game itself goes, this is, high-flying Dolphins offense versus the Jaguars defense that wasn't great last year, but they hire Ryan Nielsen from the Falcons, formerly of the Saints, was on that Dennis Allen staff initially. So you expect some improvement on defense just by that alone. He's a very good defensive coordinator, and it's not like they have bad players over on that side of the ball. Secondary is shaky, to say the least, but you got a star pass rusher on the defensive line in Josh Allen. You got a tackling machine in Foye Oluokun back there behind him. I mean, it's a good front seven and a bad secondary. That's the best way to put it, which ultimately could work out in their favor because the Dolphins' offensive line is a bit of a mess. I mean, I know Tua gets the ball out quickly, but at the same time, he's going to have to get it out real quickly because Josh Allen might have his way in this game. Josh Allen Hines Allen, I don't know, man. He didn't want to be called Josh Allen, the defensive end, so I guess he just added in a Hines in there somewhere. Gotta love ketchup. Ketchup's good, man. I'll tell you what. It's good stuff. But yeah, I feel like if the Jaguars want to win, they're going to have to get 2 on the grass, pretty much. That's the main way to do it. And I think they have a good enough advantage on the defensive line with this Dolphins offensive line that maybe they can make some stuff happen. I mean, outside of Teron Armstead, who I guess will probably be matching up with Josh Allen a pretty good bit, there's not really anyone that scares you on that offensive line. I mean, Robert Hunt just walked out the door over to the Carolina Panthers for buku bucks. So that's a concern there. I mean, that was one of your better offensive linemen, and he just walked out the door. So I don't know. I feel like the Jaguars have an edge there, but if the Dolphins get time, I mean they're gonna dice up this secondary. That's the main thing. I mean Ryan Nielsen's gonna have to be in his bag in this one to stop the Dolphins' offense. It's kind of a similar story on the other side. I mean the Jaguars' offensive line is kind of miserable. The Dolphins' front seven. I guess Bradley Chubb starting the season on the pup. I think Jalen Phillips is back, if I'm not mistaken. You lose Christian Wilkins, though, which is going to hurt. No two ways about that. You lose some linebackers. I mean, obviously, Xavier Howard is gone now. You got some question marks. You got a few question marks there on the defensive side of the ball, which I think will probably save the Jaguars because their offensive line is not very good. I mean, you hope that Jalen Phillips is not the player that he once was. That's the best hope for you because I think Jalen Phillips. The only way the Dolphins win this game, at least win this matchup with the offensive and defensive line, is if Jalen Phillips is a monster. That's the main thing. So ultimately, I think that's pretty much a moot point. I think they kind of cancel each other out. Maybe Travis Etienne, maybe he can make some stuff happen. I think the Jaguars have some good receivers on the outside. But I feel like the secondary is the big strength of this defense. I mean, you got, how do I forget this guy's name? For whatever reason, Javon Hargrave is coming to my head. And no, that's a defensive tackle for the 49ers. Javon Holland, that's the one I'm thinking of. Safety for the Dolphins, one of the best safeties in the entire league. Jalen Ramsey, still a legit number one corner. Outside of that, what do we got? We got like Kader Kohu. Not good at all. But hey, you work with what you got. And ultimately, it's as simple as looking at the Dolphins. The Dolphins' offensive line. If the Dolphins' offensive line can hold up, they're going to get. I mean, the Jaguars' defense is going to get diced. I feel pretty strongly about that. If they don't, this game is going to be close, and I think the Jaguars might ultimately win. I think the defense for the Dolphins is good enough to give the Jaguars problems. I feel like the running game is going to be a problem for the Jaguars all year just based on the makeup of this offensive line. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be good. I do expect him to throw at least one interception in this game. I mean, you can't hold Jalen Ramsey and Javon Holland down for long. I think they're going to get something off of him. So with that logic, I'm going with the Dolphins, -3. Not betting them. At least not right now. I don't think I'm betting them. But, for as far as picks, we're going with the Dolphins -3 in this one. That's the pick. Oh boy, my boys are up. So we got the Vikings at the Giants here in week 1. And boy, I am tempted to break my own rules, folks. I have a pretty hard and fast personal rule that I don't bet on the Minnesota Vikings for the most part. I made one exception to it a couple years ago when they played the Skylar Thompson-led Miami Dolphins, and I said, by God, if they can't cover 6.5 spread versus a Miami Dolphins team led by rookie Skylar Thompson, who was just in the practice squad a week ago, they're never going to cover a spread again. So I bet on that one. I'm in a similar situation here with this one right now. So the line is Vikings -1 over at Caesars. The Caesars has a 1 right now. Unless it's changed, they have a 1. You can get anywhere from a +2 over at DraftKings. Most of them are at like +1.5 though, pretty much everywhere else. Over-unders at 41 or 41.5. You're going to have to shop around on that. This is it's such a close line, and I hate to use the term disrespectful line because Vegas doesn't care. They don't care about hurting your feelings. They care about hard data and numbers. I just don't agree with their numbers on this one. Like, are they just expecting the Sam Darnold effect to be, just constant shots in the foot? Because, it's a good Vikings offensive line. It's a very good Giants front seven, but it's a good Vikings offensive line that should be able to protect Sam Darnold for the most part. You worry about the interior, but as far as the offensive line goes, I mean, we're probably going to get beat just due to the sheer personnel on the Vikings defensive line, on the Giants defensive line, but they won't get beat too bad. And when you got Justin Jefferson, you got Jordan Addison, I guess T.J. Hawkinson's not there, but I mean, Josh Oliver's a serviceable enough tight end. You bring in Aaron Jones, and you look at the rest of this Giants defense, they're pretty god fucking awful, man. They're not good. Like, I assume that Sam Darnold is going to throw an interception here at some point. I mean, that just kind of comes with the experience, I would suppose. But the Giants should be able to, I mean, the Vikings should be able to score points on the Giants. If they can't score points, we got a real problem. We're certainly not going to be a playoff team or anywhere close to that if we can't, take care of business versus the Giants. Because they should have a decided advantage in everywhere except for the pass rush, pretty much, on the offensive versus defensive matchup. And then you look at the other side. All Brian Flores' defense did this offseason was improved. They improved the personnel pretty much across the board in most situations. Obviously, you had the tragic passing of Kyrie Jackson in the preseason, but you bring in Stephon Gilmore. I don't want to just butt that. I mean, that's tragic. That is tragic, and it sucks for the team. It really, is a bit of a derailer here on the entire discussion. However, they do bring in Shaquille Griffin this offseason. They bring in Stephon Gilmore late. And ultimately, they look good on the outside, especially with Byron Murphy there playing in the slot. It's a good secondary now. I mean, especially with, oh goodness, I forget the guy's name. It's not Byron Murphy. Cameron Bynum. That's the guy. We got Cameron Bynum. We got Harrison Smith. We got Joshua Metellus. Excuse me. My throat's getting dry. All right, we're back. We're back, man. We're back. But yeah, great safeties in the back end, good secondary on the outside. And with what Brian Flores does, his creativity, I mean, he got enough pieces in the front seven to be a really, really good unit. I mean, the Giants' offensive line is bad. They basically have one receiver, and he's a rookie, Malik Neighbors, and you can just shadow coverage over there and take care of that pretty easily. They have a bad quarterback in Daniel Jones. I think the Vikings dominate this matchup on the defensive side of the ball with the Giants. I don't think they have well, I don't want to get too effusive with this. I don't want to be talking about eating dog shit out of Solo Cup. Shout out to that guy. He's going to get bullied into the ninth dimension. He's already back on Twitter now, folks. And if you look at his comments, it's just a sea of, you got to eat the dog shit, bro. You got to eat the dog shit. Go look it up if you don't understand that. You're probably good for you. You're probably not. You're probably living a good life, not online a whole lot. That's the main thing. That's a good thing to have. I mean, as far as this game goes, fuck it, whatever. Vikings -1. I'm taking them. If they don't win this game, it'll be absolutely perplexing to me. I mean, I will don the dunce cap. I will find the propeller hat that I used to wear when I was in the stands at Mississippi State, painting up my chest like an idiot. I will wear that the entire show next time. If the Vikings lose this game. And that is my guarantee to you right now. And you know what? Unlike the dog shit bet, that's actually going to be, it's going to be funny, and it's not going to be just god-awful for me, I suppose. I'm going to look like an idiot. That's the main thing, and that's the point. I'm taking the Vikings -1. I'm going to place that bet pretty much as soon as I'm done here. Not hardly a second after this. I'm going to be placing that bet. But yeah, the Vikings -1. What are we doing here, Vegas? What are we doing here? I just don't get it. Anyways, we'll keep moving from here. Eye itches. What do we got on time? 44 minutes? Yeah, we're doing not great. Not great at all. So Titans, Bears, you get a pretty good mix of numbers here. The lowest we got is ESPN at 3.5 right now. That's pretty much the only one that low. Everyone else is 4.5. You get some 4.5s over at FanDuel here and over at Caesars if you're looking to bet on the Titans. But it is, Bears -3.5 at the best. Over under is anywhere from 44.5 to 45.5. If you're looking at the under, 45.5 is over at Caesars. If you're looking at the over, the 44.5 is over at FanDuel. So there you go. Oh, also DraftKings as well. So yeah, if you're looking to bet on that. this is a big-time measuring stick game for both teams here out of the gates. I think the Titans tried hard to keep their team competitive this year. The Bears are kind of starting to open up a championship window, I think. It's a matchup of young quarterbacks. Will Levis be some fat booty cheeks this year? We'll see. We will find out. I think the Bears have a really good defense. I think the Titans, the Titans' offensive line is in for a big test because I think the Bears' defense in pass rush is going to be fairly solid this year. You got those two stud linebackers. You got obviously Montez Sweat, Hail State. Shout out to him. You got really solid developing young secondary. I mean, we'll see what happens with Byron. I keep wanting to say Byron Murphy. Kevin Byard. That's who I'm thinking of. Kevin Byard. My brain is just mush right now. And I'm going to get done recording this late too. It's terrible. It's terrible. Overall, I mean, I look at this matchup. I think the new look Bears receiving core matches up very well with the Titans secondary there. I think they ultimately get that win based on the Bears' improved offensive line and the Bears' improved receiving core. I'm just not sold on Will Levis. I mean, we'll see. If he doesn't succeed this year, he probably just won't succeed, I would say. But I just feel better about the Bears in this matchup. Give me the Bears -3.5. I won't bet it, but give me the Bears in this one. Panthers Saints, it is 4.5 over at Caesars. That's pretty much it. And you can get a -4 pretty much everywhere else. Actually, FanDuel's got a -3.5, so you might want to snatch that up if you're on the Saints in this one. Outside of that, though, over-under is anywhere from 40 over at Caesars, lowest by far, I would say, to a 42 over at MGM. So yeah, get your bets, get them while they're hot, I suppose. Bet responsibly. I mean, basically, I think the Saints should win this one. I mean, the Panthers are still a big-time work in progress. It's a home game for the Saints, too. Obviously, the Saints' offensive line is kind of a mess, but the Panthers' defensive line isn't exactly anything to write home about. So I think they win that. I think they want to run the ball this season. We'll see what Clint Kubiak does with the scheme this season. Again, I'm not sold, but whatever. We'll see. I think the Panthers, I mean, there's just not a whole lot to love there for the Panthers. I mean, there's a couple good pieces, but, I mean, you lost a couple good pieces this offseason, too. So I'm just not all that sold on them. And, I mean, defensively, I think the Saints will be better this year as well. I think they'll get back to a little bit more of the form. They're still long in the tooth, but you still got solid players across the board, good defensive coach. I think they fairly handle the Panthers' offense in this one. A big test for basically everyone across the board. I just see the Saints winning. So I'll pick them to win. I'll pick them to cover in this one, -4. And that's all I got to really say about that matchup. Not a great one. It's a little poo-poo dog shit over there. But Cardinals at the Bills. Biggest spread we've had so far. Mostly it's 6.5 across the board. You can still get a 6 over at Caesars if you're looking to bet on the Bills. Over-under is 48 in most places, 48.5 over at ESPN, Bet, and FanDuel if you're looking to bet the under in this game. I would not be inclined to do so. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this one. I feel like the Bills' defense, yes, a lot of the names they shed were a little bit more flash than substance. I don't think they're going to drop off all too much on the defensive side of the ball, but I also think the Cardinals' offense is better this year. I think they are going to, score some points in this one. Marvin Harrison Jr., I think he's going to show right out of the gates that he is a really, really good wide receiver. I think there's going to be some continued improvement with Kyler Murray coming off of that ACL injury. Probably going to be 100% coming out of the gates this time, coming out of the year. Obviously missed first portion of the season last year with that ACL injury. Greg Dortch is a good receiver. You got one of the really good underrated tight ends in Trey McBride. You got really just solid personnel across the board there on the offense. Improving. I can see the vision that Monty Ossenfort is building over there. So I think the Cardinals score some points on the Bills' defense. Bills, though, I mean, you got Josh Allen. I hope to God Keon Coleman is good. He's such a great press conference guy. If you don't know who he is yet, you're gonna find out. He's gonna say something at some point this season. It's gonna be awesome, or he's gonna make some plays that are awesome. Either way, I'm all here for it. Wide receivers though, you got Khalil Shakir out there as well. I'm trying to think. I mean, it's hard to remember all of the. I mean, Curtis Samuel came over this offseason. Doesn't matter, though. They've got Josh Allen. I have no worries whatsoever. I think they're still going to spread the ball around the field. The run game will figure it out. I have no worries there either. They got solid enough offensive line, good enough running backs. They'll figure it out. And the Cardinals defense still a work in progress, I would say. So I think the Bills, just really by virtue of having Josh Allen and quality enough personnel around him, I think will probably put up some points in this one. Ultimately, Cardinals are feisty, man. They're feisty. I'll take the Cardinals at plus 6.5. I won't bet them, but I'll take them at plus 6.5 on the picks here. I just think they'll keep it close. I don't think they win, but I think they win in a close, high-scoring game. So I lean the Cardinals, and I lean the over in this one. Take that for what you will. Next 1 o'clock game, we got the Patriots at the Bengals. Bengals are another giant spread here, at least by NFL standards. You get anywhere from like an 8.5 to an 8. Big spread there. You got 8.5s over at what do we got here? We got FanDuel and we got Sizar's Sportsbook as well as ESPN Bet, and then 8s everywhere else across the board. 40.5s. Either 41 or 41 or 40.5s pretty much everywhere there. So, excuse me, my goodness. That's your over-under. I probably wouldn't be betting on the over-under in this one just based on the Patriots offense and how bad it could be. I think they might score, though. I think the Patriots might score. I mean, the offensive line, we'll see how it works out. It's a work in progress right now. But I mean, I feel like they have good enough receivers. I mean, and this Bengals defense isn't that good. Let's all not kid ourselves now. The Bengals defense isn't that good. Sure, they bring in Von Bell from the 1-year hiatus he had with the Panthers, worst hiatus of all time, if you ask me. But I mean, what is Von Bell at this point? Is he still serviceable in Lou Anarumo's scheme? I don't know. So, I mean, the Patriots could score points just by virtue of the Bengals defense just not being very good personnel-wise. But also on the other side, I just feel like Joe Burrow, that offense, I mean, I feel like they're going to win this game. I mean, the Patriots defense is solid, but I feel like the Bengals are going to win this game. I don't know if they cover, though. I think I'm going to take the Patriots plus 8.5, but I'm gonna take the Bengals to win this game. I think if the Patriots keep it closer than people may expect, and it might be a little bit lower scoring than people expect as well, at least from the Bengals side of things. So that's how I feel about that one. Texans-Colts, you can get anywhere from a 2.5 to 3. It's kind of just depends on the sports book. I guess you got 2.5s over at Caesars and FanDuel, then 3s everywhere else. Over under, it's a pretty good mix of 49 and 48.5. Books seem to be pretty close to each other on that one. So I guess for this one, it kind of depends on how the Texans defense comes out, how the over-under goes, right? So if the Texans defense comes out how we think it might look, and it might be very, very good, they could, hit the under in this one. If they don't come out good, I think they hit the over. I don't know. I'd probably stay away from that over-under anyways, just because the Colts have some good young pieces, too, on the defensive side of the ball that could step up. I feel very strongly about Laiatu Latu. I think he could be very, very good. He's got a tough matchup with Laramie Tunsil here in Week 1. I'll tell you that right now. But I think he's really, really solid. I mean, if he stays healthy, I think he's going to be a star in this Colts defense. And, I don't know about banners or anything, but I think he's going to end up being very good in this Colts defense. So, I mean, ultimately, what this game comes down to, more than anything else, I mean, it's hard to pick just one thing in this matchup. I mean, I could cop out and just say, front seven matchup, offensive line versus defensive line, blah, 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 blah. But I think it's more so, I think if the Colts beat the Texans secondary. Like if Anthony Richardson comes out and looks like he did to start last season and making some spectacular throws, I think the Colts could definitely win this game. But I just feel like the Texans are just a better team. I'll take them at -2.5. I think it's going to be a really good game, though. I think the line is just about dead on, I would say. I think it's going to be a really fun, close game. I'll just do a slight lean to the Texans in this one. Okay, so Bronchies Seahawks over in Seattle land. It's sixes pretty much across the board. You get 5.5s over at, you guessed it, Caesars and FanDuel. And it's either 42 or 41.5. It just kind of depends on the sportsbook. Pretty good mix of both throughout this whole thing. I'm certainly not taking the over in this game. Mike McDonald you hire for his defense with the Seahawks and the Broncos offenses. We'll see with Bo Nix. I got no idea on that one. I mean, as far as the Seattle Seahawks defense, I feel like their defense is going to be better this year just by virtue of having Mike McDonald. Yep, just adding an Enya in his name. So, yeah, I feel like the defense is going to be better by virtue of that. I think you're also going against a Broncos offense that is challenged in areas, namely wide receiver outside of Cortland Sutton and, shaky offensive line. Wasn't great last year. Maybe you inject Bo Nix and things get better. You still have Sean Payton, so that's a big time maybe there. But I think the Seahawks defense improved too. I think they got Julian Love this offseason from the Giants as well. He comes over. So I think that's a good pickup for them. I'm trying to think of who else that the Seahawks got. Obviously, Reek Woolen. You draft Evan Witherspoon last year. You make some improvements on the defensive line as well. I think they're going to be a solid defense this year. So maybe I'd lean the under in this one. I just feel like the difference maker is going to be Ryan Grubb and that Seahawks offense just scheming shit up. I think it's going to be fun with the Seahawks offense this year, and I think Ryan Grubb is going to firmly put himself in the spotlight as a future head coach, possibly at the NFL level. I love that offense. It was so fun at Washington. Obviously, everything's easier when you got an NFL quarterback and like 3 NFL wide receivers versus college defenses. But it was just so creative. It was such a fun offense, and I think he's going to bring that to the NFL level with the Seahawks. So I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, I'll take the Seahawks -5.5, I guess. Yeah, give it to me. Give it to me, man. Okay. Up next, we've got the Raiders at the Chargers. I mean, it's threes mostly. You got a 3.5 over at Caesars, and that's pretty much it. If you're looking to bet on the underdogs here, the Raiders on the road, over under anywhere from 40 to 41.5. Actually, pretty good spread on the over unders here. So shop around on that one. God damn it! What in the name of fuck? What in the name of fuck? I say. Get me back to what I was looking at. I hit a wrong button, folks. I apologize. Give me a minute here. Give me a minute here. I got to scroll down to that game I was just at. Goodness gracious. So, yeah, I mean, as far as this game is concerned, I'll keep it brief on this one. I'll just take the Chargers. They actually have a quarterback. The Raiders don't. I think the Jim Harbaugh style is going to pay dividends. I think the Chargers are going to be solid enough. They're going to be feisty, and I just don't think the Raiders are that good this year. I think it's going to be a tough matchup with the Raiders' defensive line. But I think it's going to be sloppy, but I think the Chargers win this one. So give me the -3 on that one. Cowboys at the Browns. Sneaky good matchup in this one. I think that should be a fun one, actually. 2.5s across the board. Books are in lockstep on this one. No variation whatsoever. A little bit more of a spread on the over-under. I got a 42 here over at Caesars, and looks like we got a 40.5 over at FanDuel. So yeah, just shop around on that in-between space there. I think this is as advertised, though. It's two solid defenses. We'll see how the Cowboys look without Dan Quinn, but solid defenses. Browns have a great defense over there, and 2 offenses. Good personnel. We'll just put it that way. I mean, you got CeeDee Lamb and Dak Prescott. That's your good personnel for the Cowboys offense. The Browns just have players everywhere except for the quarterback position. I think that's the main thing. And you know what? I think I just answered my question of who I'm going to pick with that one. I just feel like the Browns are a better team, man. I mean, I think the Browns defense is going to cause problems with the Cowboys offense. And the Browns offense, look, man, if the nasty man just stays out of the offense's way, I think they're going to be just fine. I mean, just deliver the ball, let the defense play their game. I mean, it's Jerome Ford out there initially, but you've still got one of the best, if not the best, offensive lines in the entire game. So, yeah, give me the Browns -2.5. Not going to bet it, but that's where I'm picking for right now. Goodness gracious, my throat is getting dry here right now. Yep, that's good. Gatorade. Okay. So Commanders at the Buccaneers. It's 3.5 in most places. You can get a 3 over at MGM, and that's pretty much it. Buccaneers favored -3 over there at MGM. Over under, books are in lockstep at 43.5. I don't know, man. I feel like the Buccaneers are getting a little bit disrespected here because the Commanders aren't a very good football team. So I mean, I'm going to take the Buccaneers in this one for sure. I just feel like Buccaneers offense matches up fairly well with the Commanders defense, especially when you look on the outside with a guy like Mike Evans still there, Chris Godwin's still there, got the same returning starter quarterback from last year. Obviously, you lose the offensive coordinator Dave Canales, now the head coach of the Carolina Panthers, but don't expect that much of a drop-off from the Buccaneers offense. I think they're going to put up some points on the Commanders. And, I mean, the Commanders offense, I just feel like the Buccaneers defense is going to eat them alive. I mean, basically just the offensive line is such a disaster that I think the Buccaneers win that by default. And the receivers on the outside just aren't really good enough to compensate, I don't think. I mean, Jaden Daniels is going to have a spectacular game on the ground. I'll tell you that right now. And is that really what you want a guy to do who's taken some of the most comical, hilarious hits in the history of college football? That's for Cliff Kingsbury to decide. But yeah, give me the Buccaneers -3 in this one. That's where I'm leaning. Okay, so Sunday night game. We are coming to our next pick here. I already put this one in. So across the board, we got 3.5. Lions favored by 3.5 as they're hosting the Rams here. Over under is pretty good mix here. You got anywhere from a 50.5 over at DraftKings to a 51.5. Over at FanDuel right now. So, yeah, just shop around on that one. I need to look at exactly what my bet was for this one. Give me just a second. Yes. So, I got the Rams. Rams-Lions over 51. I think the Lions defense is going to be better this year, but I like this Rams offense. I think the Rams offense can score on anyone. I love Kyren Williams. I love the offensive line. Obviously, I love Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp coming back this year. I love everything that the Rams offense has to offer, and I love Sean McVay, obviously. So I just think they're going to score points on pretty much everyone. Lions are playing against a bad Rams defense, and they have a really good offense. So I just expect points. Yes, it would kind of buck the trend of night matchups hitting the under, and this is a high over-under too at that. But I just feel like they're going to hit this one. I just feel like this is going to be a fun shootout type atmosphere, which means it's probably going to be a 24-20 final. But fuck it, I'm taking the over 51 points in this one. And ultimately, I feel like the Lions are just a better team. I feel like the Lions defense is going to get just enough stops to pull away in this one, and I think they win. I think they cover at 3.5. I'm not betting it, but that's my prediction for that one. And for the Monday night game here to round things out, we've got a do-over. Let's run it back. Worked out great last time. At least they're on the road this time. The Jets are going to San Francisco, to the home area of one Aaron Rodgers, to play the 49ers. The line is set here. Pretty good mix of lines here. We've got a 4.5 over in a couple different places. We got as low as a 3.5 over at Caesars. So books are still pretty split on this one. Over under, you're either getting a 44 or a 43.5. You just got to shop around for that one. It's a pretty good mix of who's got 44, who's got 43.5, but it's pretty much in lockstep on that number. I'm staying away from the over under. I think two good defenses. That might even be a little bit high. Maybe even lean the under on that one. But also, if they show up as billed, two pretty good offenses. I just think these teams match up pretty well, honestly. I mean, if Aaron Rodgers comes back and is fine, maybe he's not the MVP level Aaron Rodgers he once was, but he's still a good quarterback, makes all the right decisions, still probably a top 10 guy at that point. And you would assume having Breece Hall there, running into the teeth of the weakness for the 49ers last season, which was the run defense, you just look at everything else that's on that offense. I mean, you bring in Mike Williams, we'll see what he has left in the tank, but he's there. Garrett Wilson is there. You've got solid receivers outside of those as well, in addition to Breece Hall, Aaron Rodgers. I think they're going to put up some points in this game. I think it'll be hampered just by the fact that the 49ers are a really good defense, honestly. And I think the 49ers offense, I mean, this Jets defense is ferocious. Absolutely ferocious. The good news is they have Trent Williams in there. They got Ayuk paid there as well. So that's good news. All good news there. But this Jets defense, stars at every level. Brock Purdy, it's the regular season. I think the 49ers are going to score points. And because of that, I'm taking the 49ers to cover -3.5. How about that? I think in the regular season, they're damn near unstoppable. And you know what? They're just a better team than the Jets. One of, if not the best roster in the entire NFL. So sue me. I'm taking the 49ers -3.5. Don't actually sue me. I don't have the money to pay you. So yeah, that's the whole slate right there. I mean, we added 2 bets. We got the Vikings -1. We got the Rams Lions over 51.5. I have got one more bet to add. I'm really just breaking all the rules this weekend. I'm a lawbreaker. I'm a rule breaker. Well, first, an addendum, kind of a rectification of the mistake from last week. There was no 7 out there. It was just 7.5 on Nebraska. So, painting myself in a corner. I'm a man of my word. We're taking them. It's just -7.5, not 7. Do I hate it? Yes. Yes, I absolutely do. Am I, honor bound? I am. So I put my money on that one. You're welcome, America. Some are saying I'm a hero. I wouldn't say it, but some are saying. And then a new one I'm adding on top of the Rams Lions over 51 and the Vikings -1 versus the Giants. I'm taking Mississippi State and Arizona State over 56.5, and I'm not sure you can get that number anymore. I got in pretty early. I just feel like the Mississippi State defense is not very good, and the offense can score on most teams at the caliber of Arizona State. So give me 56.5. I think we're going to be seeing points in that game. And so there you have it. I think there are some headlines we got to hit here. There is a couple headlines I want to just briefly look at. Oh yeah, so Trent Williams, he got paid, I think it was like 3 years, $87 million or something like that. Really, it's just kind of moving around money. They restructured his deal to give him like $27 million this year. You offset that with the $5 million in fines. Yes, $5 million in fines, ladies and gentlemen. He's making $22 a year for this year. Cool. You got him back in the lineup. That's what matters. Also, Patrick Surtain. This came down the pipe just today. He's getting paid 4 years, $96 million extension with the Broncos. My read on the situation, probably not going to stay there. Probably just makes him more attractive to trade for, quite frankly. And I think that's ultimately what's best for the Broncos team, is to trade him for assets, because, boy, they bereft of talent on that defensive side of the ball. He's basically the one bit of glue that's holding the unit together. So, hey, maybe you stubbornly hold on to him. I don't know. But he got paid as well. So, here's the shout out to people getting paid, man. You love to see it. You love to see it. With that, though, I think I'm out of here, folks. We're running at an hour 8, hour 9. Not bad. It's going to be in an hour 10 before this is done. I had a little bit of downtime to start this thing, so that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful episode today. If you enjoyed this episode, I appreciate it. Subscribe. Help me grow this thing a little bit more by sharing it with your friends, rate, all that good stuff, wherever you're listening to it, no matter what platform it happens to be. Follow me on the socials at CalebVUA, that once again is in the right-hand corner of this screen right now, so go ahead and do that. You can shoot me a DM. You can shoot me an email at unqualifiedanalysis@gmail.com. Both of those are in the description if you want to, communicate with me. Maybe add something to the show. I don't know if you're feeling spicy or not there. You can do whatever you like, as the poets once said. But we do this twice a week now. Twice a week during the regular season. We got college football on Tuesday. We have got NFL on Thursday, and it is a beautiful time to be an NFL, really just a football fan. So with that, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I've got no clue what I'm talking about. But one thing that I learned this week, actually the last fact that I have, so I got to go back to the well and get 2 new ones for next week. Marquise, a.k.a. Hollywood Brown, who I mentioned earlier in this episode, is called Hollywood because he's from Hollywood, Florida. And I definitely thought it was more about the big plays, and I thought that name just kind of materialized because he's big show, he's Hollywood, and now I feel dumb. So that's good. Very good. Very good. Enjoy the games this weekend, folks. I know I sure as hell will. I'm still debating whether to buy the Sunday NFL ticket. I think I'm going to just bite the bullet and do it. Whatever, man. Whatever. Life isn't fair. Fuck it. I'll just do it. So yeah, enjoy the football this weekend. I'm certainly going to enjoy the football. And yeah, we'll reconvene here on Tuesday for a college football recap, shall we? See y'all then. Have a good weekend. Deuces.